Hello, and welcome to the Game Design Talks for Boardquest. This is a weekly series where I want to go deeper into my thoughts on the game design for our upcoming tabletop and video game Boardquest Tales of Liria. I'm Behsaad, I'm the designer, and basically this is a series for players and people who are interested in Boardquest to understand a little bit of the rules beforehand, before we even release. So today I would like to talk about my thoughts on movement and on basically creating the map in the game. So in our playtests, I think this was one of the mechanics that stood out as unique and where people were kind of positively surprised mostly that you could create your own map. So I have a couple of map pieces here. This is a prototype print. And as you can see, there's different types of terrain. There's wood, there's forest, and there are plains basically. So there's mountains, forest, plains, and water. Basically, these are the different terrain types. And the rule for placing the tiles and creating the map is they interlock. You can see that you can kind of tile them like this. And each player kind of in the beginning draws their map piece and places it on the existing map. And so what happens is you can decide to rotate and to place it in different positions. And what happens is you get a different map every time you play. And the advantage of this system is that every game is different, and every map you play on will have its own little strategic choke points, its own little, places where that need special attention, that need to be defended, and so on. So this system creates variety in the map setup, and there's going to be 16 map pieces, and each map piece contains 7 hexagons, basically. So now, talking about the map setup, so you can imagine this leads to a wide variety of different map setups. It's thousands, basically, if you go through the mathematical calculations on how many. But what's more interesting for me was also how movement works, basically. So why would you have to consider carefully where to place the map? There's different thoughts behind this. So as you can see on this tile, you can see not only water, you can see the plain, you can see the mountains, but you can also see this red spot where a monster is going to spawn. So you know exactly later on, after you finish the setup of the pieces, where the monsters are going to spawn. And this could be very important for strategic consideration, because you want to make sure to have enough monsters close to you, but not too many to obstruct your movement. And this is one of the things. So what happens after you set up the map? Let's take one of our little monster pieces here. Let's say this hippogriff gets spawned onto this piece. So you'll know, basically based on the rotation, you can have it closer or further away from you as a player. What's also interesting is, of course, the movement. So the movement rules in Boardquest are a little bit different from many other tabletop games, I would say. In that basically the terrain movement has been simplified, in my opinion. So my goal for creating this kind of movement system was simplicity. So one look on the map, you can make a lot of strategic deductions without calculating too much in your head. So this goes basically hand in hand with the accessibility thought of the game that goes throughout the game. But for example, let's take this tile. So you have these difficult terrains, let's call them, water and mountains, and you have the plains. The plains are the only parts of the map where your movement stat of your figures actually plays out completely, so you can move freely on these plains. But on the other difficult terrains, forest, water, and mountains, you have to stop, basically, once you reach them. So they create natural kind of choke points and natural kind of slowdowns on the map. So when you place the map, you really have to think about creating a path for your army, and also obstructing the path for your opponent. So if I place these tiles next to each other, I know I can basically walk these planes, these four steps on the planes directly, and I know that anyone coming from the top, from the mountains, will have to stop there unless they're flying. So that's the one exception we have. But besides that, this system, in my experience, is very simple. It reduces calculations, and it encourages you to think about placement of the tiles to create these different passages that your figures and your army are going to use, and to obstruct that passage for your opponent. So we had the situation in a playtest where a player was in the far right side of the map, and he had to decide to either attack a monster there, or to basically go back to defend his forts that were being attacked by his enemy. And because of the obstruction that he created in the beginning, because he didn't think it through, I mean, it was the first time playtest, so that's pretty normal, he ended up having trouble arriving in time. So these are all kind of little tactical considerations you have to make when setting up the map. So so I hope people are going to have a lot of fun with this, and also with the other mechanics. I'm going to talk about different play modes next time, and for now I'll wrap up this talk. And if you're interested in the game, go over to kickstarter.com or go over to playboardquest.com to learn more about our upcoming game, Boardquest Tales of Liria. Thanks.